Update. My brother-in-law confessed feelings for me after I went wedding dress shopping with his fiancée. Original post. This just happened today. I'm pretty overwhelmed, so I'll start with some background. I've been with my husband for 5 years, and we've been married for 2. Since early on in our relationship, I've been great friends with his older brother, partially because I've always wanted a brother. When he started dating a girl about 2 years ago, I went out of my way to make sure she knew she had a friend in me if she wanted, since we're the only girls in the family. We're great friends now, and since they got engaged 3 months ago, I've been helping with wedding planning and was asked to be a bridesmaid. We went dress shopping today and had a blast. We went to brunch, had some mimosas, found a dress, and then went back to their house to celebrate. I ended up alone in the kitchen with my brother-in-law a bit after we got there, and he said he just had to tell me something before it kept eating at him. I was a little buzzed and confused, but was not at all expecting him to say what he did. I think I've had feelings for you for a few years, and I've never been able to tell you. I just needed to know if you ever felt the same. I completely froze and just shook my head. I told him that no, I've never thought about him in any way other than as a friend and a brother, and that I never would. Before he said anything else, I bolted back to his fiancée and the other girls there and very discreetly told her I got my period, wasn't feeling well, and would have someone come get me. I told her I'd come by soon for more wedding planning. She thought nothing of it, and I called my best friend to come get me. She dropped me off at home. My husband is working right now, and there is no question that I am going to tell him as soon as he gets home. But I just have no idea where to go from there. Do I tell his fiancée? Do I make him tell her? Do I leave it? Should I have my husband talk to him? Has anyone ever had something like this happen or have any advice? Anything is appreciated. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. 1 step at a time. You already plan to tell your husband. Your husband is your teammate, so decide together what to do. This is such a hard situation to be in. He put you in a weird place. You'd be betraying your brother-in-law's fiancée by not telling her. But if you do tell her, things in the family will get weird and divided. But that wouldn't be your fault. I'm mad he did this to you. What the heck did he think you were going to do? Leave his brother for him? Right before the wedding? I would reach out to the brother-in-law and chew him out. You're right, 1 step at a time. I think I'm trying to think 10 steps ahead because that's just who I am. And this is impossible to plan for because it's so messed up. My husband and I always say it's us against the problem. So of course I'll tell him immediately and we'll plan together. Talk to your husband first, because what if you tell her and he tries to flip it, saying you said those things? My comfort in this thought is that I believe my husband and I have a really strong and trusting relationship, and I don't think he would ever believe that. As soon as he gets home, I'll tell him. I'm just not going to do the whole "we need to talk about something when you get home" thing, because I know that would put a pit in his stomach, and I won't do that to him. Now for the first update. Thanks to everyone who helped calm my panicked mind after my original post. I didn't want to tell my husband we need to talk while he was still at work and make him panic. So having some reassurance from here was really helpful. I also noticed a lot of people asking for an update. So here it is, one that even I was shocked by as I lived it. It's not exactly the earth-shattering blow-up most people thought it would be. My husband came home and he immediately knew I had something on my mind. I explained the whole thing, and he was livid at his brother. Thankfully, he gave me a hug, and I broke down crying from distress. He assured me I did everything right, and that it wasn't my fault. After that, he went to call his brother and tell him that he knew what happened, and wanted to talk to him one-on-one. Well, it turns out that his brother and his fiancée were already on their way to our house to talk about it. As soon as the other girls left, not long after me, my brother-in-law confessed everything to his fiancée. First, she slapped him, deserved. But after, they talked and he promised her that his feelings for her were genuine. She told him he needed to apologize to me and his brother, and then they could go from there. So they came over. My brother-in-law and my husband went to talk privately while I talked with his fiancée. We both cried and talked for about an hour. I promised her I never had any feelings for him and had no idea he ever had feelings for me. Apparently, she had caught him gazing at me on a family vacation once, and thought maybe he had some attraction to me. So while this sucked, she felt some relief that she wasn't crazy for thinking it. He admitted she was right and thinks his feelings at one point were rooted in jealousy that his younger brother was further in life than him, and he attributed that to me in some way. This was new to him as the older brother, and they hadn't compared themselves much growing up because they had vastly different paths. It was like comparing apples to oranges, but now there was some perceived competition on a similar playing field. The feelings had faded, but when she came home saying she found a dress, he felt an urge to come clean. He admitted he wished he had said it differently or worked through it with some help to understand what the feelings were before making this whole mess. I don't know about all that, but I guess I could understand it with a clear head. I mean, if the Oedipus complex can be a thing, then I can see him having some complex feelings that manifested as attraction, but didn't affect his love for his fiancée. This all happened in one night, and he was visibly distressed over it, so I'd find it hard to believe he could weave a whole story like that. I'm inclined to believe him. When my husband and his brother came back to the living room, my brother-in-law looked like a puppy who just got in trouble. He also looked a little roughed up, but I didn't question it. We all talked and he apologized to me for putting me in this position. Where it landed, their wedding is on hold privately while they figure out the next steps. Thankfully, nothing was booked, and no dates were sent out. We had gone wedding dress shopping just to get an idea, and it was just luck that she fell in love with the dress. They're going to couples therapy to decide if and how they can move past this. There is clear love between the two of them. Things will be tense, but I think he feels genuine remorse, and my potential sister-in-law says she holds no ill will against me. If they move forward, she'd still love to have me as a bridesmaid if I'm willing. My husband and his brother have some serious work to do on their relationship, and my friendship with my brother-in-law will never be the same again. But we'll see what happens from here. We also agreed to keep this between the four of us. They will be honest that they're doing some premarital counseling before setting dates or fully planning the wedding. I saw a lot of comments telling me to keep my mouth shut since no harm was done. While I guess I can see your point, I just couldn't imagine keeping something like this from my husband, especially if it came out later and he found out I withheld it. Trust is huge in our partnership, and even just omission feels like a betrayal of that. Sure, I knew this could blow up if I let it out, but that would be my brother-in-law's fault, not mine. He had all the control over telling me what he did. Thanks to everyone who helped me through that scary processing time alone. His explanation doesn't make sense to me. I'd understand him coming clean to his fiancée about having a harmless crush on his sister-in-law that faded with time, just to not keep anything from her. But him speaking to you first and asking if you reciprocate the feelings sounds like he was shooting his shot once and for all, but it didn't work out in his favor, so he changed the narrative. Because what else was he possibly trying to achieve? If the feelings he has for you are misguided jealousy that faded, wouldn't it be better if he said nothing at all to avoid straining his relationship with his brother? I just can't make sense of it. I can't believe that after confessing to you and his fiancée catching him checking you out privately, she's still willing to work it out with him. Well, that's on them to figure out, and I hope they do either way. Well, sounds like things have been addressed as best they can. Wedding is postponed, there have been throughout talks about his feelings for you, your brother-in-law and future sister-in-law will attend couples therapy. Might be worth going to couples therapy with your husband or individual therapy too if you feel you need it. I would suggest not being a bridesmaid in the wedding if it does happen. Best to keep this at arm's length, even if your future sister-in-law is understanding and supportive as you mentioned. Best of luck. It's difficult to navigate interpersonal conflicts like this, but it seems to be well managed so far. Thanks. My husband and I actually have a couple appointments a year with a couples therapist. We call it our maintenance check. This will likely come up, but I'm not terribly concerned about it from our relationship's point of view. Second update. I wanted to address a couple of common responses I've been seeing here and give another next day update. To everyone telling me not to tell anyone or to give him a mulligan, that was never an option for me. My husband and I are a team, and we don't keep secrets, only surprises. It's something we agreed on before getting married. If I didn't tell him and it came out later, it would be as good as me lying to his face. I did nothing wrong, and I know my husband would stand by me, so that just wasn't an option I was willing to consider. To all the claims that I'd be blowing up multiple families, I'm not the one who confessed feelings. He opened his can of worms, and it's not my responsibility to keep this secret. If this does blow up his relationship or his family, that's on him, not me. There were a lot of other common themes here, but those two were very prevalent, and I wanted to address them. For this small update, my husband actually called his brother today and asked if he wanted to go to one of their favorite bars to watch the game together. This is something pretty common for them, or for all of us, to do before all this. My brother-in-law was shocked but agreed. Shortly after, his fiancée called me and asked if she could come over while they were gone. She was honest and said it might be awkward, but we used to do this a lot, either doing some DIY projects together, working on a puzzle, or watching movies. She wanted to see if I'd be open to keeping this up as long as we were both comfortable while they work through their issues so our relationship doesn't deteriorate. It meant the world to me, and I said of course. All four of us agreed that they, brother-in-law and fiancé, would start seeing a couples therapist as soon as possible, and my brother-in-law would see one on his own. Until they get a better grasp of what his feelings were/are and their own plan, we won't all get together, and my brother-in-law and I will not be alone together. My potential sister-in-law is one of the most level-headed and kind-hearted people I've ever met. My brother-in-law used to have a lot of walls up that she naturally broke down, and this behavior is so out of character for him. His proposal to her was so well-planned and thoughtful, tailored to her down to the smallest detail. He picked her a new outfit, had a perfect ring, even made sure the blanket at the setting was her favorite color, a detail he planned intentionally, and he arranged to have her parents there, even though they live hours away. It's clear that he loves her. I truly don't think that even if I had said yes, he would have left her to be with me. Not that it would have ever been an option. I truly see a road forward for them and all of us. We're all committed to finding the best outcome for everyone involved. My marriage is solid, and we have our marriage maintenance couples therapy appointment coming up soon anyway, so we'll check in with an outside opinion. But I'm not worried. They're going to a consultation with a therapist from the same practice in just a couple of days. It obviously won't be a quick or smooth fix, as this was messed up, but I'm much more optimistic than many comments here, and I wanted to share. Girl, I think you're such a great person. I wish I had someone like you in my life. You and your husband being a team against all problems is relationship goals at its finest. You being so honest about this and managing through all this mess gives me the impression that you're a top-tier communicator. I wasn't always, but I've put in a lot of work, and so has my husband. It was actually part of our vows to always evolve together and communicate. It's a learned skill for sure, but the right partner makes it easier too. Future sister-in-law is pathetic for staying with that man. All I'm gonna say. I don't think it's pathetic to give something, even a messed up situation, a little extra time to decide whether to move forward. The way she's looking at it is that she can leave, and nobody would blame her, and she wouldn't blame herself. But she loves him, and for her own peace of mind, she wants to take a beat to more deeply understand the situation before deciding to stay or leave. She was planning a future with him, and if she just leaves immediately, she'll have a lot of inner turmoil to work through, and a lot of what-ifs. If she takes a few therapy sessions and decides to leave, she'll feel more confident in her decision. That's her choice to make. You may think it's pathetic, but it's what she decided was best for her. The story is kind of anticlimactic. Couldn't you add in a tiger or a sword fight? Here's a little more of a climax. Turns out, she had a physical attraction/little crush on a coworker at one point, about 8 months into their relationship. That's why she has a little more sympathy and is willing to try to work on it. She said it can happen without changing the fact that she loves him. Maybe the coworker was a spy or something to add drama? Kidding, but there was that slight development. Last story. My sister ruined my party. My sister is 30 and makes one bad decision after another. She dropped out of high school, got pregnant at 22 with a guy who was freshly out of jail, and posts on social media as a bear mama. But in reality, our mother is raising her child. She couldn't or wouldn't get a normal job, and did video chatting for a few years. I am 27 and I recently celebrated my birthday. She has this tendency to ruin everything. She was invited to the family dinner, and during that dinner, 2 days ago, she texted 2 people who were there, claiming she had slept with our neighbor's husband. She added that he was bad in bed and called his wife annoying, saying she planned to tell her. I very much doubt the neighbor slept with her. He is a very decent guy. I don't want to be mean, but my sister is overweight, posts on social media with her breasts almost entirely visible, and wears vulgar makeup. Regardless, she chose to make this claim right before my party, so everyone was talking about it instead of celebrating. Last year, she pulled a similar stunt. I got a promotion at work and she came home crying, claiming she was SA'd by her superior at work. I don't know if it's true, but the guy is 70 and was indeed flirty with her, grossly so in my opinion. I couldn't understand why she entertained him. When I told her to take care and stay away from him, she called me a prude. 6 months ago, my mother and I helped her find a place to stay. She moved to another city for work, and what did we hear? She tried to seduce her roommate's boyfriend, but the guy rejected her. I've distanced myself from her, but I'm close to my mother who loves her. Well, because she's her daughter, and that's normal, I guess. I also love my niece. My sister, however, cannot integrate into society. She's very conflictual, always aggressive, and every time something good happens in my life, she comes up with some super drama that has just happened to her. Either she's been SA'd or she slept with someone's man, though there's no proof for either. Go out to a restaurant with some friends to celebrate. Don't tell your mother or sister your plans. Leaving them out of the equation solves your problem entirely. And don't tell them about the next good thing you'd normally celebrate. Just go have a good time with friends. Stop sharing your personal info with them at all. I will stop doing it, but I really do wonder, what were the chances that she didn't get triggered? When our cousin posted a very beautiful picture on social media wearing a nice long dress, 5 minutes after watching her story, my sister said out of nowhere how she slept with a man who was having his wedding the next day. I was like, what? I don't understand why you let the stupidity get to you. The statements are so ridiculous and outlandish, I wouldn't even care. I would literally get to the point where I don't even hear it anymore. She's not actively trying to ruin your life. Stop letting these stupid statements bother you.